In this video, we're going to build the SCX10 Pro kit. This is an LCG comp-ready chassis kit from Axial that has everything you need in this to build from the ground up a serious performance-focused crawler. This is my first ground-up kit build, and I'm super excited that it's going to be on this platform. So in addition to the kit itself, we've got a whole box of parts. We're going to build a complete crawler from the ground up. This is going to be a lot of fun. I've been really itching to get into this project, so let's open it up and take a look at the kit and start building. Real quick before we get into this video, guys, I want to give a big shout out to XOCaged RC for putting out great content on the SCX10 Pro build. His videos really helped me a lot during this build. I'm going to go through mine really quick because I don't have the experience or expertise that someone like him does. So if you're looking for a more detailed step-by-step explanation of how to put this kit together, I highly recommend the XOCaged series. So I'll put that in the video description down below if you want to show him some love and check out that video for more detail. Oh, I am excited for this. I've been eagerly awaiting a chance to get my hands on this thing, and here it is, the SCX10 Pro kit. Let's get into it. Lots of components here. This is going to be quite the project. Some of these things we won't be using because we've got upgrades. Like here's the frame rails that come with the kit. We have the Axial carbon fiber kit for our rails, so we've been using those. We've got some brass that are going to be going on our axles. I'm going to keep these right handy. Looks like we go in alphabetical order, starting with the axles. So we want bag A right here. Let's open the bag up and get after it. Starting with bag A1, looks like we're going to build our differentials first, but this bag also has our axle shafts and tubes in here. It's like A2 has our hardware in it, so I'm going to open this up. Okay, even though I put my internals together, I'm not going to do the rear axle housing just yet. We're going to finish the front complete axle, which is the one that has this triangular piece on the side. Now we're going to put our tubes together. There's two sets of instructions here if you want to do the chassis mounted servo, this top diagram, the CMS, or the axle mounted servo. I'm going to do the axle mount. So I need to use this small triangular piece here on the axle. I'm going to take one of the longer tubes and run that through. Okay, the start of an axle housing. These things are heavy. These steel tubes, these things feel super beefy. Next we're going to start assembling the axle shafts and the knuckles. This is where I have some aftermarket goodies here. I've got these brass steering knuckles here that we're going to use in place of the plastic ones, these ones here. So we're going to not use these. Boy, these are super heavy. Holy moly. We have the right and the left, so the right components have an R on them, thankfully, for meatheads like me. Oh, the brass components do not, though. Let's see. I'm going to match these up. Oh, beautiful fit there. It's my right. All right, let's do a little bit of trimming there. It's finding running that bolt through there. Let's get in some plastic coming out on the other end. Looks like I trim that out. We're good now. Yeah, that feels good. All right, now we're going to assemble this. Fingers crossed I did everything correct. Boy, that angle on there doesn't look right. I hope I did this correctly. Okay, assuming that's correct, now we're going to put our axle mounted servo mount here. I'm not going to put the servo on just yet. I'm going to put the mount on, and I'm going to source my servo shortly. All right, there's the front axle right there, I hope. Now we're going to start assembling the rear here. Whoa, cow. All right, housing's done. Now we're going to put the axle shafts in. There we are. First bag done. Pair of beefy, beautiful axles right there. Shocks, bag number 2. We've got copious amounts of shock oil here. 35 weight. 2 tubes of 35. All right, let's do one together, and here we go. Let's get into this. Lots of pieces with these shocks. So step 1, we're going to put these little O-rings in the shock body. I want to make sure I'm going to oil these too as I go along. There's one O-ring, little collar, and then another O-ring. And then we have our cap here. Next step, I'm going to take the shock rod right here. Oh, this little C-clips. I hate C-clips. There's one. I'm going to take this little perforated collar here. That's going to go over this. The next C-clip is going to go on the outside. Now this is going to go through the shock. I'm going to put a little bit more oil down in the bottom here. Pull it nice and smooth. Very nice. Next, I'm going to thread my rod end on here. Now I don't have a shock wrench to grab onto these, so I'm going to use this rubber band to hold this so I don't mar it up with my pliers. Okay, feels pretty good. Nice feeling shocks, very smooth. And to finish this off, and we just snap in the hardware. Shocks are done. Next up is the transmission. This is going to be a beast. All right, transmission time. I've been losing sleep thinking about this transmission build. This has been like the major hurdle for me really diving into this. We got the next 2, 3, basically 3 full pages are transmission instructions. So let's eat the frog and get it done. The good news is when this part's done, everything else looks like pretty smooth sailing. So let's get into this now. I'm going to start with bag C1, which is this little assembly over here. We got our shift fork here. This is for the selectable overdrive, I believe. 1 C-clip. Mother of God, don't lose it, right? Success. This next one, the gears aren't labeled, but we're looking for 20 tooth. It's going to go on this end down here with the longer shaft. 26 tooth is going to go on the other. Now here we got a bigger C-clip. That's how, must be how our overdrive works right there. This is very cool to see this all kind of come together. Terrifying, but it's cool nonetheless. So I think just by sheer luck, I did the gears correct here. So you got the 46 tooth goes on the shorter stub of this, and you got a 40 tooth gear, the smaller of the two, goes on the upper portion with the longer shaft here and the hole at the end. So I think, just like I said, sheer luck, I was able to get that. I should have paid closer attention, but thankfully I got them correct, it looks like. Now we're going to put this thing together in the case. So this is going to go up at the top. All right, step 2. I just praying to the RC gods that I did this correctly. So got a dog bone, goes right in here, this output shaft. Alright, so I had a near miss there. Found out it got to a couple steps down the road and I was using the wrong gears. But thankfully it was a pretty easy swap. Got this thing back in order. Now it feels way, way better. I definitely had my doubts there. So I'm glad I double checked. But we're in good shape now. Oh, now it's like goes onto the skid. So next we're actually going to get into the servo actuated underdrive and overdrive functionality of this thing. So there's two ways to do this. You can do the manual lockout. If you didn't want to use a servo, it does give you this manual lockout option. But we've got the micro servo that I'm going to use for the selectable overdrive. So I see. So it's kind of like this hanging piece here. Mounts right on the back of the transmission like that. And if you see, that forms your servo mount right there. And then here's our shifter right there. Super cool. The kit does not come with a servo. You have to buy this separate. I picked this up at my local hobby shop knowing that I was going to be doing this. Alright my friends, I'm in day 3 right now. To close out day 2 over the weekend, I did some ancillary stuff. I did building the links, so I put all of my links together here, which actually was very painstaking to put these links together. The rod ends go on very, very stiff, and it was a lot of labor to get this put together. But I got my linkage built. I put my wheels and tires together. We'll get into those a little bit more later. So now I'm going to finish putting the drivetrain together. So I've got the Spur gear up front to assemble. We'll kind of put the finishing touches on that. Maybe put the motor on. I think that's one of the steps here, but let's clean this up for a minute. So working our way through. We're going to do step C5 today. Alright, transmission's pretty much done. Now we're going to mount the motor up while we're right here. So for the motor, I got this 2-in-1 brushless 2300 kV Firma setup from Spectrum. It's a beauty. So in here we got a little 3M double-sided sticky for our power switch when we're ready. So the kit comes with the pinion gear, comes with a 13-tooth pinion gear, no motor though. So we had to source the motor separately, but you do get the pinion gear. Just going to set this on here just very lightly so I can move it around, position the pinion. Now the pinion gear positioned, now we're going to do our mesh. So again, I'm going to set the motor in here just very lightly. If you follow the channel, you probably know I chronically have my mesh too tight. So I'm really going to try hard this time around is to do this correctly. What I've got here is a piece of paper. So what I'm going to do is run this paper through, and I want to set the mesh to the point where I crease the paper but don't break through it. It actually looked pretty good first shot there. Yeah, see, I think I got good indentation all the way through. Clear teeth marks there, but no perforation. So I think that's pretty much spot on. So next steps, D1 through D4 is building the linkage, which we've already done. So we're going to skip over to section E. We're going to build out the drive shafts. Alright, so here's the exploded view here in real life. And we're going to put this together. There's one. We're complete. All right, my friends, day 4. We're in the home stretch here. Really hoping to make a big push and get this largely completed tonight. What we've got for steps, we're going to mount the links. We're going to start building the chassis. We're going to put the rails together. And depending how ambitious I feel, it looks like there's quite a bit going on here. Hopefully I can get this done. I was really hoping to get a roller done tonight. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we're going to forge ahead, see what we can do. Those are good. Now it looks like we're going to get into the rails and the supporting pieces. And if you remember, I have these beautiful carbon fiber rails we're going to be using. Extremely light, very strong. The orientation here, you got the taller towers go in the rear and these more elongated, shorter ones go in the front. You can see for this front bumper piece, it's one that has this indentation underneath it and has kind of these 2 notches on the top. That fits nicely into your frame rails. And we've got this tray here with this optional servo mount. I'm actually going to put a winch servo in there. So this is going to be cool. All right, now we're putting the skids on, the sliders, I mean. It's like these mount on the upper portion right here as well. It's going to be nice and straight across. All right, moving around to the rear. So the rear cross brace, we got kind of the hollow pieces face up and go right here. Next up, rear bumper mount in the back. The kind of tapered edge points to the front. I think that is one complete side. So next up, we're just going to slide the motor and everything in here. Look at that, I got one side pretty much done there. And now I'm just going to replicate the same thing with the other chassis rail and then stick this thing together. Coming into the home stretch, my friends, we're going to put the axles on and we should be able to wrap this up, get a rolling chassis today. I did pick up something today, got it from Amazon actually. I got this new special edition AGF RC high torque low profile servo. I was going to put one of my Reefs Raw 500s in here, but given the servo and axle location, I really wanted to go with the low profile. So I got this beautiful AGF RC special edition unit here. Nice digital programmable servo capable of up to 8.4 volts. Good speed and lots of very cool aesthetics on this thing. I like it a lot. It comes with the aluminum horn too. That was a tight fit. Look at that beauty in there. Oh, I tell you what, the forearm pump is real. Putting all these screws in, man. So you remember in the beginning of this, I was really stressed out thinking that the angle of my knuckles was way off, but it was not. Looks like it worked out perfectly. And what this does, you can see that it's got that extreme angle on here, brings your drag link up out of the way, so you've got nice high clearance here, so you aren't snagging that up on rocks and things for your approach angle. Interesting. It's like the upper links mount on the underside of the servo mount there where it's flat. So we have a front end, my friends. Look at that. It functions. We got steer. We got lots of steer. Look at that angle. I think I did this right. Holy moly. Moving on to the rear. One thing I forgot to add on the rear axle was these brass weights that I have. So we put these on first. Oh, these brass upgrades are nice, but I can't get to my shock mount with them in here. Oh my gosh, look at that, my friends. Pretty much full rolling chassis right there. Linkage, everything feels very smooth. Everything's connected solid. I'm proud of that right there. So some of the last things we're going to be getting into now is going to be the bumpers. So we've got the front bumper, the rear bumper. We've got a little fair lead that's going to go on. We're going to put our wheel hexes on. I'm very impressed with the completeness of this kit. I love that they've got body pins, wheel nuts, hexes, everything. Alright, my friends, that is pretty much it. Got my hexes on, bumpers on, front and rear. Last thing I'm going to do is put the body posts in. I'm going to throw the wheels and tires on it, and then we'll have a roller. So I'm going to do this last little bit now, and then we'll check it out while it's on wheels. Here it is, guys. We did it. Here is the complete chassis kit. It's a roller right now. It's not completely done. I've got the motor in there. We've got the servo hooked up. I still need to put in my receiver so I can get it wired up to a transmitter, put the body on as well, and get everything all situated aesthetically. But the kit itself is done. So this thing went together awesome. Took me probably 5 or 6 hours to do it. I'm relatively inexperienced when it comes to these things. I've never done a kit build like this before, but the instructions were easy to follow. I only had a couple points where I got mixed up and had to unwind some things, but for the most part, just went slow, took my time, step by step, did a little bit each day, and over the course of 4 or 5 days, I got it done. So here it is. Man, this thing is sweet. I just love the forward shifted weight. Everything is forward and down low. It's got a wicked angle on this skid. I'm really excited to run this thing because just looking at it and just feeling how the thing is balanced and how the weight is shifted on it, I just feel like it's going to be such a monster on the rocks. Really love that I was able to do servo on axle design. It's got crazy steering angle. Look at that steering angle on this thing. And you can see for wheels and tires on this, we've got the Proline Rock Shooter beadlock wheels, I believe. They're an aluminum outer here, but the rest is plastic. And we got the Proline Crawler, BFG Crawler tires on it, and the Predator compound with the Proline dual stage foam inserts. So this thing means business. I'm super pumped to finish this thing up and get out and run it, but what I really want to do is put this on the 4-corner scale to show you guys the weight distribution, and then we'll wrap it up. Alright guys, here's our weight distribution on this thing. Now remember, I've done a little bit of work 2 hours. It's not completely stock. We did the brass knuckles in the front. We also did the brass weights in the rear. Also the carbon fiber chassis. So weight distribution on this right now, 59 front, 41 rear. Near perfect weight distribution. This is without a battery. So I'd probably run something like this 22 milliamp 3S battery. So I'm going to just plop this on here and see what this does to the distribution. No change on the forward bias there. So no change with the battery on there to our overall weight distribution. It changes our left to right distribution just slightly. It actually evens it out even better. So I put that on there again. You can see that the battery on that slider gives us a perfect 50-50 weight distribution left to right. So this is a awesome setup right now. One thing I might consider is taking the weights out of the rear to give me a little more in the front, but we'll see. I want to keep some weight in the rear there because there's just not a lot in the back. So pretty cool. I'm really excited to try this thing out. This is a great starting point, objectively anyway. Now we got to finish this thing and get it out on the rocks. Alright guys, that's going to wrap it up for part 1 of this build series. In the next one, part 2, we're going to finish this thing and we're going to take it out and run it. I've also got a servo winch I'm going to try and put on here too as just kind of cherry on the top. But in any case, you don't want to miss this thing in action, so stay tuned for the next video. Please give the video a like and thumbs up if you did in fact enjoy it, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss part 2 of this video. And as always, I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.